We want to destroy all other animals, all other beings, and we want the whole earth for ourselves. So that simple line has a greater meaning, that he should seek my hospitality from out the dark door of the secret earth, he says. The snake did not go to anybody else. It came to me like a guest, so I feel honored. Suddenly, his education overpowered him and he involuntarily took the clumsy log. He hit the snake. Hello students, I am Anil, Assistant Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. In this session, we are going to look at the poem Snake by D.H. Lawrence, prescribed for the students of B.Ba 4th semester. So in this session, we are going to look at the poet D.H. Lawrence and let us summarize the poem. Let us go through the poem and understand what is there in the poem. So talking about D.H. Lawrence, his full name is David Herbert Lawrence. He was an English writer, a novelist, short story writer, poet and essayist. His modernist works reflect on modernity, social alienation and industrialization while championing sexuality, vitality and instinct. His best-known novels Sons and Lovers, The Rainbow, Woman in Love and Lady Chatterley's Lover were the subject of censorship trials for their radical portrayal of sexuality and use of explicit language. This man is known for this kind of controversy. So let us see what is there in this poem titled Snake. The poem starts here. A snake came to my water trough on a hot day, and I in pajamas for the heat to drink there. A snake came to my water trough on a hot day, and I in pajamas for the heat to drink there. So when he went to get some water from the water trough, there was a snake already. So he says, in the deep, strange scented shade of the great dark carob tree, I came down the steps with my pitcher and must stand and wait, for there he was at the trough before me. So he says, I also went there to fetch some water. But what happened? Now he is standing there waiting like a second comer. He reached down from a fissure in the earth wall in the gloom and trailed his yellow-brown slackness soft belly down over the edge of the stone trough. So he explains how that snake was on the water trough and how it looked yellow and brown slackness and the belly was very soft. It was a tender snake and rested his throat upon the stone bottom, and where the water had dripped from the tap in a small clearness, he sipped with his straight mouth, softly drank through his straight gums into his slack long body silently. So what is this snake doing? It is drinking water from the trough. It had a long, slack body and it was drinking water from the trough. The water was filled with dripping off the tap. Someone was before me at my water trough and I, like a second comer, waiting. Now this snake had already come. That is the first one. And he, like a second comer, he is waiting for the snake to go away and then get water from the trough. He lifted his head from his drinking as cattle do. So when he stood there waiting for that snake to go away, it raised his head and looked like the cattle do, and looked at me vaguely as drinking cattle do. And he thinks that snake was thinking nothing in its head. It simply looked at the poet and then it went on drinking some more water and flickered his two-forked tongue from his lips and mused a moment. So it was enjoying the water at the hot day and stooped and drank a little more. Being earth brown, earth golden from the burning bowels of the earth on the day of Sicilian July with Etna smoking. So in here we come to know where the poet is inspired to write this poem. He was talking about a town in Italy. It is Sicily. And he says, it was there he saw this brown and golden form of that snake. It was in Sicily. It was during July with its volcanic mountain Etna, which was smoking very hot during the summer. The voice of my education said to me. So when he looked at this snake, the voice of his education. What is this education? That becomes important in this poem. He must be killed. The education that we get as human beings. We are the source of destruction. We want to destroy all other animals, all other beings, and we want the whole earth for ourselves. So that simple line has a greater meaning. The education, voice of his education, voice of the education of humanity. Where is the humanity? He must be killed means that snake must be killed. We worship snake in the form of God. But what do we do when we look at an actual snake? We try to kill it. So that is applicable from the Indian point of view. But what is the general education here? Killing the animals which we feel dangerous. For in Sicily, the black snakes are innocent. So it is like the red ants and the black ants. In Sicily, what did people believe in? They believed the black snakes are innocent and the golden are poisonous. So they believed black snakes are innocent and the golden snakes are poisonous. Therefore, what was the education? To kill that brown, earth golden snake. The voices in me said, if you were a man, you would take a stick and break him now and finish him off. So look at this. So how do we talk about masculinity? How do we prove that man is superior to woman? Through this we set the distinction or distinguish between a man and a woman. A woman should always fear is what the general concept is. But he is telling that the voice in me said, if you were a man is considered to be brave, powerful, strong. So he says, if you were a man, you would take a stick and break him now and finish him off. That is what, if you were a man, should have done. Coming to the next one. But must I confess how I liked him? Now I should confess how I like this creature. He is talking about the humanity in himself. How glad I was he had come like a guest in quiet to drink at my water trough. Now he is appreciating the other creature. It has come to him like a guest. And doing what? It is not harming him. It is simply having water during that hot summer day. And depart peacefully pacified and thankless into the burning bowels of this earth. So he says, what would that snake do? It has come like guest. It will drink some water. It quenches its thirst. It quenches its thirst and then it will disappear into the earth bubble. It will go somewhere, hide in the shades in the earth. So now he is thinking, was it cowardice that I am thinking like this? That I like this creature? Is it like that? That I dared not kill him? I did not have the courage to kill it. Is it cowardice? Was it perversity? Is it what I oppose the thinking? That I long to talk to him. I want to talk to this creature. I want to be friend with this creature. But is this something not accepted by the society? Was it humility to feel so honored? So whatever the feeling I am feeling now, right now, appreciating the beauty of the creature and trying to accept it as his friend. So is it humility? I felt so honored. But finally he expresses his thought. He was so honored that a snake had come to drink at his water trough. And yet those voices, but still those voices are talking. What are they talking? If you were not afraid, you would kill him. The education, the voice of his education. His means the entire humanity's education. He says, "The voice in me yet again, they spoke. If you are not afraid, you would kill him. You are now afraid of it, therefore you cannot kill him. If you are not afraid, then you would kill it." And truly I was afraid. The poet is bold enough to accept his true feeling. What was it? He was truly afraid. I was most afraid. He says, yes, I was most afraid. But even so, honored still more. But even so, yes, I am afraid of it. So what? But still I feel honored. Why? That he should seek my hospitality from out the dark door of the secret earth, he says. The snake did not go to anybody else. It came to me like a guest, so I feel honored. He drank enough and lifted his head dreamily as one who has drunken. Now he expresses the feeling of the snake. Now it drank its stomach full. Now it is satisfied. Its thirst is gone. Now it's feeling like somebody who's drunk. And flickered his tongue like a forked knife on the air. So black, this snake was so black, seeming to lick his lips. And looked around like a god, unseeing into the air. Now it is looking like a god, highly satisfied. Now it does not think of anything. It is looking like God. And slowly turned his head. Now the snake, after drinking water, did not want to cause any harm to the poet. So it simply turned back to go. And slowly, very slowly, as if thrice a dream, very slowly, as if it is in dream, proceeded to draw his slow length curving round and climb again the broken bank of my wall face. So now it is going back, curling around and getting into the earth. And as he put his head into that dreadful hole, now when this snake was getting its head into the hole to disappear, and as he slowly drew up, easing his shoulders and entered farther, it was going to disappear. A sort of honor, a sort of protest against his withdrawing into that horrid black hole, deliberately going into the blackness and slowly drawing himself after. Overcame me now his back was turned. Now when the snake was going back without causing any harm, suddenly a different thought came into the mind of the poet. This creature has come here. It drank water. It is going back without thanking me. It is so thankless. I looked round. I put down my pitcher and picked up a clumsy log. Now suddenly, what overcame the poet? His education, voice of his education. Suddenly he kept his pitcher down. Then he took up a clumsy log, a stick. Then suddenly I threw it at the water trough with a clatter. It fell into the water, made some noise. But what had happened then? I think it did not hit him. I think the snake was not hit. But what happened? But suddenly, that part of him that was left behind convulsed in an undignified haste. Suddenly, the snake was disturbed out of its peace. It tried to escape immediately, breathed like lightning and was gone. The snake disappeared in a moment. Into the black hole, the earth-lipped fissure in the wall front, at which, in the intense still noon, I stared with fascination. Now he is surprisingly looking at this snake, which escaped very quickly after having a shock. Now suddenly, what did the poet feel? What came to his mind? And immediately I regretted. So suddenly his feelings were reversed. In the beginning, he saw the snake, he was afraid, and he agreed that he was afraid of the snake. Then again, he talks about the voice. What was the voice? To kill the other animal. So I thought how paltry, how vulgar, what a mean act. Now he is criticizing his act which was involuntary. Though he thought so much about the snake, of being honored by its presence, suddenly his education overpowered him and he involuntarily took the clumsy log. He hit the snake. Then I despised myself and the voices of my accursed human education. Now I am blaming my human education. What education did I get as a human being? The snake did not disturb me, but what did I do? Is it the education that I got so far? And I thought of the albatross. Now he thinks of the albatross, the bird related to Christianity and God. And I wished he would come back, my snake. Now he is thinking, now I realized my mistake. Now I want that snake to come back. Please help, albatross. He is thinking about the godly creatures now, the gods related to these birds. And then finally he realizes his mistake. But the disturbance is already caused. He had hurt the snake and the snake has gone, disappeared. For he seemed to me like king again. Now, realizing his mistake, he understands that the snake seems to him like a king in exile, uncrowned in the underworld. The snakes are related to hell. So he thinks that is also a king, but uncrowned, he lives in the underground. Now, due to be crowned again, why has the snake come out? He was the king, and now he wants to be the king again. He has to be crowned. And so I missed my chance with one of the lords of life. So he says even the snake has its own divine powers related to life, related to gods. So now I missed a chance. Why? Because I disturbed it. And I have something to expiate. Now I have something to realize. Say, what is it? A pittance. The mistake he did is regretting to his situation. He thought highly of the creatures of God. Then suddenly what happened? The human education turned his feelings upside down. And finally, what did he do? He disturbed a peaceful snake and he sent it back to its dark hole where the snake disappeared. And then finally he realizes his mistake and now he calls for it to come back. The king who has to be crowned again. The poem gets finished and here the poet is criticizing the education that we get in the society. As human beings, what do we do with the other creatures that live on earth? Though it was a summer, the snake simply came there as a guest. It drank some water. It was feeling very happy. It was satisfied. It was going back. But what is the education of human beings causing to these creatures or earth? So it is the destruction of other animals and survival of human beings. That is not the true education, is what he explains in the poem. And this takes place in Italy. You have to remember all these points. D.H. Lawrence talks about a snake which was at his water trough to have some water and he was waiting like a second comer. When he looked at the snake was looking brown, golden, yellow. And in Italy, people considered a snake is venomous if it is golden and it is innocent if it is black. But this snake was venomous according to the Italians' beliefs. But he appreciated the creature. But finally what happened? A voice of human education tried to convince him that if he was not afraid, he would kill him. If he was not afraid, he would destroy it. If he was a man, he would kill it again. So he is trying to convince how our education has spoiled us. We have unlearned to stay in harmony with the other creatures. And finally, when the snake was going back, he loses control of himself. He takes a clumsy log, he hits at it, and the snake disappears. After that, he realizes his mistake, and he now is calling for that snake to come back. So keeping all these things in mind, we would meet up in the next class. Thank you.